Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Extra Lap podcast. Today we are joined by Eric Holt. Eric, how are you today?
I am great. I had my last workout of the week, and my next race is going to be this Saturday at Indoor USA Champs.
Definitely. And that's you guys must be really excited about a race like that. So, what's the workouts looking like getting into a race like that? What's the feeling?
It's pretty crazy because this is like the most competitive US Indoor Champs ever for the 1500. I
Mhm.
mean, I ran 352.35. And, technically I just scraped in, which is kind of crazy to think about it. Out of the set US standard was 352.5 or 334.5 from last outdoors. And out of the 12 competitors, 11 of them had the standard, meaning that the last guy was Casey Cleanabard of 334.55. So,
Mhm.
I mean, if I ran even like zero point 0.3 seconds slower, I wouldn't have qualified. So,
Definitely. And you ran 352 at BU, which is just a monstrous race. So, what went into that?
well, unfortunately, a couple weeks prior, I had the worst race in a while. I ran 4:05 in the mile, getting dead last practically. So, I mean, I was feeling horrible, and I honestly thought the indoor season was over. But thankfully, I took some time off from running, and then basically did like no workouts, and thankfully felt a little better and had a good rebound race and qualified for indoor nats, have the world standard, and
Mhm.
we'll see. I mean, we're gonna try to make world indoors in Glasgow in a couple weeks. So first, you're gonna have to try my best. Well, actually, it's like more like a little less than a month, but still, it's a big race coming up.
Yeah, and with qualifying for something like indoor nats and coming off such a huge race, is it how do you maintain the confidence going into a race with such competition and just keep that ball moving?
I mean, it's gonna be tough. I looked at my last race. I got fourth, but I felt like I could have made a few more strategic moves. I know I still didn't feel 100%, so I'm confident that I feel like if I have a very great tactical race, I have a legitimate chance. And I felt like the first race was a little nervous, and a lot of things weren't going my way, so honestly, I'm just gonna like show up and try to execute the best strategic race because it's at altitude in Albuquerque. So meaning it's not going to be a super fast race, but you know, um, you just gotta be like, well, I'm a little bigger, more physical, so I just gotta be in the right position and try my best to make a team. So we'll
Mhm.
see.
Definitely. And the week leading up to a big race like that, how do you just mentally calm yourself down and just focus on the training instead of, getting overwhelmed by the race itself?
Well, you got to tell yourself basically, you can't get fitter in a week leading up to a race. So, I always tell people, especially people that going into cross country, that cross country is a fall sport that's participated or the training, all the work is done in the summer. It's like a summer sport basically. And basically, all the training was done, in the months leading up to this race. So at the end of the day, it's all about execution. So basically, you just got to like take it easy the week of, maybe do a little bit of speed to like make sure the legs are sharp, but you don't want to overdo anything. So just basically relaxing, enjoying the fruits of your labor, and you just got to be like, all right, just want to feel good, and when I get there, let's just have a good race, and that's basically it.
Definitely. And the goal is to qualify for worlds, indoor worlds, and you're familiar, you've represented Team USA before, so what was that experience like?
So I was lucky enough to only represent once for like I think it's called NASDAQ, which
Mhm.
was the North America, Central America, Caribbean Championships, and that was in 2021.
Mhm.
And it was a really cool experience, especially since I won it and set the record there.
Mhm.
and I had to beat a lot of stiff competition to qualify for that meet.
Hmm.
So that sort of experience shows me that, even though this weekend I will be competing against the likes of Kessler, Tier, Hawker, the best of the best, the cream of the top. And I just have to understand that if I have the best executed race, if I put myself in it, I can beat them. At the end of the day, they're all humans, and I sacrifice and do this sport because I believe if I run the best race, I can, get top two. So I always just tell myself that. I know there's a lot of people that look up to me. So I just tell myself I just gotta give myself the best chance and control what I can control.
Definitely. And you run for Empire, so what does the weekly training look like there?
So the training is a little different now since we're more or less tapering, but this fall was pretty brutal. We had like a 5 6 week stint, uh, five of which were at Flagstaff, which was my first time doing altitude, and I was doing close to 100 miles a week, two
Hmm.
workouts a week, one speed workout a week, basically one long run a week, or another workout a week. So, and then on top of that, I was doing two lifts a week, and and again, high mileage. It was high intensity. It was very, very hard, and almost all the workouts were pretty difficult, some of which we were doing double workouts. So, I mean, this fall, it was just training, eating, and resting. It was very difficult.
Hmm.
So, I know I'm capable of a lot of great things. Unfortunately, this indoor has been a little banged up, got sick, felt fatigued at a lot of points. So, luckily, I was able to run at least one decent race and qualify for indoor nats. But I'm hoping for another good race. But basically, yeah, Empire, it's a lot. A lot of people think it's, when you do one speed, two workouts,
Hmm.
um, it's a lot, man. So I mean, it's just like constantly, a lot of hard work. I mean, it's definitely not an easy program, but it's fun. And we got a lot of depth. We got like Ben Allen, who also ran 353, Jack Salisbury ran 355. We got Nick Dahl, who's a 355 guy. And then we just got a bunch of really talented 800 runners. So there's a lot of depth, and every workout is tough. And it's the hardest part about the program is honestly just resting up for the next big day. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun, but it's tough.
Hmm. Jackson RI guy, I gotta say, he's left his legacy at LaSalle, so it's always
Mhm.
cool seeing what he does with Empire and just seeing what you guys do as a whole. Like I saw you ran a 3K and now you're moving down towards more of the mile. So goes into a race like that, like moving down distance?
You know, um, I definitely like the shorter distances. I think like it's been an interesting season because the train's been very aerobic. We haven't been doing that much speed. So just a lot of like hard long run intervals, a lot of 800s at like 205 or faster. Like even this week we've been doing a lot of that. So honestly, it feels good because once you do a lot of miles and hard aerobic workouts, a mile just like doesn't feel as mentally hard because you're just like, oh, I'm only in pain for 4 minutes instead of like, 30, 40 minutes. So it feels nice. And it also just shows you like your capacity for aerobic development. I never thought I could be this aerobically fit, and it feels like an never-ending well of how fit you can get aerobically. But it's hard. For me, it's way harder than any anaerobic or mid-distance workouts. But when I go down in distance, it always feels great.
As it should. One of the questions someone asked was if you work a job while running.
So I worked in a psych ward for 4 years. I ended up quitting that job last year to run full time. I saved up a lot of money, and I was lucky enough to make a decent amount of money off of racing and a USATF foundation, getting a grant. So I saved up a lot of money. and then I basically either live either at my girlfriend's or my parents' house. So I basically don't really pay that much money for rent. So basically, right now, I'm just trying my best to get a contract. I actually was offered, a position to join a professional team and also a contract for an independent. Unfortunately, I chose independent, and at the last minute, the contract didn't go through. So now I'm still unsponsored, and kind of sucked. But I still just never gave up, and I'm working hard, and that's my dream to get an independent sponsorship. It was a very tough decision, and I remember when I declined the professional club, I thought for sure I would get an independent sponsorship, and it
Mhm.
didn't happen. And now I'm like, well, I dug this hole. This is Olympic year. This is like my magnum opus. I really would like a contract. So, um, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, yeah, I mean, I stopped working a year ago, so so I could go full time in running and hopefully do something special.
Definitely. And as an unsponsored athlete, when you like get on the line, does that give you a little more extra, break going into the race and a little extra, uh, you know, I don't know. Does it just help at all?
I mean, it gives me a bit more incentive for sure. I mean, for me, it's like I'm going into USA's. I'm the only unsponsored athlete, and there's a few other sponsored athletes that didn't make it. So it was the same thing last year at outdoor in the outdoor 1500 final. I was the only unsponsored athlete. So
Hmm.
I'm consistently getting in fields where I beat sponsored athletes, and I'm the only unsponsored guy.
Hmm.
And I know there's a lot of other very talented unsponsored athletes in the 1500 slash mile, like AJ Ernst
Hmm.
and my teammates. But I'm usually consistently the fastest unsponsored athlete in America and one of the fastest in the world in my event. So, I hold on to the hope that one day I can make that dream that I had when I was 5 years old to be a professional athlete. I so far have not achieved that, but I'm gonna work hard, and I know I have a really good opportunity this Saturday to possibly, do something that could put me in position to get a contract.
Definitely. I mean, stepping on the line and seeing a bunch of, sponsored athletes and consistently being that number one guy, I feel like it just is fuel to the fire and it's really impressive, putting in full dedication and everything as you do. And I feel like this would definitely be the year too, right? It's an Olympic year and
Mhm.
usually I feel like that's where everything falls in the shuffle. So has your training shifted at all, like thus going into this one?
I mean, this is the hardest I've ever trained. I never really did consistently, more than 50, 60 miles. And now I'm doing like consistently, I did like 10 weeks straight at over 90 miles. I've been lifting heavier and harder. I've been doing harder workouts. I've been doing everything harder. Right now, I'm not training that hard, but that's also because, I'm racing. But, I know I'm the fittest I've ever been. Like I said, I wanted to at least break through 50 this indoors, but unfortunately things didn't work out. And sometimes you get punched in the face and it sucks. But you just gotta have to roll with it. And I feel like, the true champion winners are the people that can improvise and, still try to make it work. And thankfully I was able to go from a 405 to a 352, and I got a big opportunity this weekend, and I got to try my best to make the best out of it. And hopefully, with more good results, I can get something to happen. So that is what I'm trying to do.
And I feel like at the end of the day, all you can ask for is an opportunity. So, like, what would your advice be for anyone to use that opportunity?
Um, I mean, I always tell everyone, like, if you're in high school and college, appreciate what you have. I feel like one of my biggest mistakes was I felt like I never really appreciated what I had. I always thought maybe I should have done a different sport or done something with more, that wasn't a sport that was as stigmatized. I didn't like really appreciate what I had, you know? And I feel like there's a lot of like high school, college guys that don't really appreciate the position they're in. And the best you can do is just work hard every day, handle all the small things. And when you get to the race, you know, we all get nervous, but try to have fun with it and be like, all right, my only goal is to be gutsy and, you know, try to win it.
Mhm.
And, you know, like I know like going into indoor USA's, no one expects me to get top two, but I have the opportunity, you know, we all running 1500 and, you know, anything can happen. And I just have to use this opportunity to get the best out of me.
Mhm.
And I appreciate what I have because I am privileged to be in the situation where I can afford to go to these meets. I can afford to like try to be a professional runner, you know? I mean, you know, working a full-time job is, you know, I remember when I worked it, you know, it was fine, but I know it's something I can do when I'm 80 years old. This is not something I can do when I'm 80. This is the only thing you can do for a short amount of time. And, you know, I do this sport. Obviously, I want to, you know, make it financially, you know, helpful for me, but I do it because I love it. And I do it because I know it's an opportunity that only comes once in a lifetime and doesn't last that long. So, point being is, I always tell people appreciate what you have because once it's gone, you kind of
Mhm.
like, you're like, oh man, you know, you don't want to regret it.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's just a great advice. And was there any other sports you did growing up before run you ran?
Yeah, I did a lot of sports, honestly. You know, but I eventually knew how good I could be at running,
Hmm.
and I gave it all up for running. And you know, there's a point where I thought it was a mistake because you know a lot of people thought I could do football at a high level or some other sport, and you know, I think at the end of the day, I had a feeling that what I loved about running is no matter how much you fail, no matter how much you suck, you can still always get on into a race and you can always make the comeback happen. And in other sports, you know, it doesn't work like that. Like if you do some combat or fighting sport, your losses matter for your entire career.
Hmm.
Where in running, you could lose 100 races in a row. No one gives a shit. People only care about like the races you do well in. And that's what I love about the sport. You can always come back. And, you know, it's a relatively cheap sport compared to the other sports. And, you know, it's fun. I mean, it's incredibly exhilarating. Like people don't realize how high adrenaline this sport is until you get to these types of big races. And I love it. You know, I love to compete. I'm excited for Saturday.
Hmm.
And I love the fact that I get to run against the best runners in America. And you know, at the end of the day, I now agree that this was the best chance. This was the best sport for me to do because, you know, in my later 20s, I was not ranked at all. I wasn't that good, and now I'm getting better every year, being way better. And you know, I know there's a lot of people in my early days that never thought I could be this good. So it's awesome.
Definitely. I mean, I just gotta ask, can you still dunk a basketball?
I
I
can. I can show you some videos. I have a bunch of videos of me dunking a ball.
Mhm.
Um, if you want, I can them to
Yeah.
you afterwards.
Well,
I'll email them.
we'll insert
But
the video right here. Right.
yeah,
Watching. What's the
okay.
dunk package looking like?
I mean, I have to have, to be honest, if I have the what are they called? The vapor flies, I think,
Mhm.
right? Or the alpha flies, alpha
Yeah, the
flies.
amplifies.
Yeah, I think the alpha flies because it gives you a couple more inches.
Hmm.
And if I have those guys on, I mean, I can, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of like stretching the shoulder because you get a few more inches and a little warm up. But yeah, I can definitely do, you know, a one, a one arm dunk. But I used to do it because like people thought I couldn't do it. And then they thought I was cheating because I would use alpha flies. But I was like, I'm gonna use a shoe that helps me do it the easiest. So
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, I'll send a few videos.
And lastly, I just gotta ask, Eric Holt the Bolt, when did that nickname start? Where did it come from?
Funny enough, that came. in middle school. That came when I won. So funny enough, that's part of my origin. Oh man, this kid's gonna get mad at me. I haven't talked to this kid in so long, but his name was what was his name? Oh man, it was a kid back in my middle school days. So
Mhm.
when I won the middle school mile in eighth grade, that was the first time I ever knew I was good at running. Long story short, I ran like 5:55 in eighth grade in the fall, and I think I was the fastest kid in the gym mile.
Mhm.
And what happened was the next day, without me realizing it, I beat someone at Carmel by like a couple seconds, and he demanded the gym teacher to have a retry, to
Mhm.
in which he ran 5:40 something. And then the gym teacher made me rerun the gym mile, and I wanted to play like football or something.
Mhm.
And he's like, no, 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 you're gonna run it because you only run the gym mile once, you know. And anyways, I had to run it a second time because the gym teacher wanted me to have a second chance because this kid had a second chance. And I
Mhm.
ended up beating his time again. And they took a picture of me in middle school and put it on the wall. And that was like the first time I knew I was good at running at all. And this kid came up to me and said, "You're E Holt the Bolt." And ever since then, the name stuck. So it was from middle school. So
That's
and
crazy.
and then like they didn't even really know I would like take running seriously. And then that was a long time ago, and now I'm still running somehow. And funny thing is, I'm still running the same event. I never changed events.
I
It
mean,
started and it's gonna end with the mile. So yeah, I don't know. It's funny, but yeah, no.
that's I mean, I honestly I did not expect that. That was a little bit of a plot twist, but that's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being a great guest, and thank you everyone for listening. Till our next lap. See ya.
All right. Thank you, Ethan. You have a good one.